$19 Fortnite card. Who wants it? Walls. What are they good for? A look at the US-Mexican border wall and a direct response to James. But before we look at the US-Mexican border wall, let's look at some other great walls in history, like the Great Wall of China. Standing 13,000 miles long, in China, it was made in the 14th to 17th century. It took quite a while, didn't it? In the mid-17th century, it ended up falling, not literally, but an army got past it and defeated China in Beijing. The wall was generally successful against large armies, against that one, but over time, invasions were easily able to overcome it, especially from smaller, independent groups. They were easily able to scale the wall and ignore it. Let's take a look at another great wall, even though it's not as great, in Berlin, the Berlin Wall. In Germany, it was used to separate East and West Berlin after the fall of Nazi Germany and the occupation by the Allies. A total of 171 people were stopped crossing this wall because they were killed. But we do know roughly 5,000 Germans were able to cross this wall, and if you look at the fractions, wow, that's a huge proportion. They crossed it using climbing the walls with ropes, hot air balloons, sewers, and just driving really fast through the gates. It was pretty crazy to see if you were there. Eventually the wall fell in '89 because, the Soviet Union fell. But hey, we don't care about them. We're in America. This Berlin Wall, much like the Great Wall of China, was more of a symbol than an actual use for defense. It's more like, hey, we got a nice wall. Come have a look. Now, for the main event, let's look at the US-Mexican border and how we go around it. Oops, I missed a slide. Let's go back. Now, let's look at the US-Mexican border, the moment we've all been waiting for. Wow! The wall stretches 1,989 miles across the U.S. southern border. Roughly 400,000 people illegally cross the border every year. That may sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not too much. The cost of the wall and border security total around $333 billion annually. That's quite a bit of money. Now, there's a lot of ways to get around this wall. I mean, it's just a wall. It's not Jesus. I mean, it's nothing special. It's just a wall. You can go around by plane, by boat, or even by tunnel. Now, let's look around how people get in the country illegally. The majority of illegal immigrants are just overstayed visas. They enter through the border all legally, just like any other family. But they just stay longer than they're allowed to by the government. The part that covers most of Arizona is almost completely blocked in by vehicle and pedestrian fencing, but has actually seen an increase in apprehensions by border security, which means wall's not really doing much. Now, drugs and illegal items are fun too. Not only people cross the border, drugs do too, and, I like my drugs, but the majority of my drugs, they don't go through the border wall, they go around it, by boats, by planes, tunnels, or even by the good old U.S. Postal Service. The final argument I'm bringing here today is that most people enter legally and just overstay their visas. They aren't actually jumping the walls, they aren't sneaking through in cars and such. Now, most of our cool illegal substances, they never even come in contact with the physical wall, but instead get through other means, like planes, submarines. I saw this one video of a drug submarine being, taken over by Border Patrol. Hey, that looked pretty cool. I watched the video a couple times. Haha. Now, we aren't defending against an army. The Mexican military isn't going to come in here anytime soon and try to take over the United States. That's crazy. We haven't seen a fight on American soil in years. We don't need this wall. At a point we reach diminishing returns. There's no more money. We throw money in there. What do we get out? We get nothing out. What are we gonna do? It's just wasting money. We need to put that money not into building a wall. We need to put that money into something cool, like robots. What if we want robots? I want robots. I hoped you liked the video, James.